Good morning, class 12th. So, yesterday in my lecture, I discussed about the multiple alleles as well as the pleiotropy. So, today in our lecture, we are going to discuss another inheritance, that is polygenic inheritance, then another term, that is epistasis, as well as chromosomal theory of inheritance. So, these three topics that is for our today's lecture. So, if we say first about polygenic inheritance, first thing you need to keep in mind is that polygenic inheritance we are going to talk, it is a quantitative inheritance. What is something when we talk about quantitative? It means we are going to talk about in numbers. Qualitative is always the quality, so quantitative is always with the number. So in this type of inheritance means polygenic, in polygenic inheritance we will talk about the number of genes. So poly as you know that it means many. So it is, if you have to write down the definition, it is a type of inheritance in which a trait or a character, it is controlled by three or more genes. Till now we were only talking about one gene and alleles, right? Two alleles, and then we talk about one gene, many alleles. Now we are going to talk about many genes, means three or more than three genes. So that type of inheritance is known as polygenic inheritance. And traits which is controlled by more than the genes, traits or characters, they are known as polygenic traits. The one example I'm going to take here in this polygenetic inheritance is our skin color. That is the best example we can correlate for the polygenic inheritance, because skin color in human beings, it is controlled by three genes. Suppose that is like A, B, and C. These are the three genes which control skin color in case of human beings. Now there can be again three conditions are there. One is the homozygous condition, means all three genes they are dominant. We always know that these genes they occur in pairs. So AA, BB, CC, that means six genes they all are dominant, and when these six genes they will be dominant, maximum amount of our skin pigment. What is our skin pigment? The skin pigment is melanin. So if these six, 1 2 3 4 5 6, so these 1 2 3 4 5 6, so if these six will be dominant, then the maximum melanin amount of melanin will be produced, and maximum melanin means the skin color will be black. That will be the in the maximum state. Now if we talk about heterozygous condition, if we see a heterozygous condition, what is happening there? Then it is like AA, BB, CC, right? In means that is three are dominant, capital A, capital B, capital C. These three are dominant, and small a, small b, small c. These three they are recessive. So the amount of pigment which produce that will be intermediate, means neither it will be maximum and nor it will be less, it will be intermediate between. The last one is homozygous, but it will be recessive. All three are recessive. That is 1 2 3 4 5 6, all six they are recessive, and there will be no production of melanin, and the individual will be complete white, and these type of individuals, they we will not call them fair, we will call them complete white, and we use the term albinos, and they have minimum amount of melanin produced. So range of dominance of skin color, that will be maximum, minimum, and intermediate. In homozygous dominant, the maximum amount of melanin will be produced. In homozygous recessive, minimum amount of melanin will be produced. And when there is heterozygous condition, that is intermediate melanin will be produced. Now how can you write this? If there are 6 dominant genes, as you can see here, there are like AA, BB, CC, all 6, that skin color will be black. If there is 0 dominance, AA, BB, CC, the individual will be albino. Same way, if there will be 5 dominant genes, that will be very dark, individual will be very dark. 4 dominant genes, still it is dark. 3 dominant genes, intermediate conditions like this, that is the intermediate condition, 3 dominant. 2 dominant gene, the skin color will be fair. 1 dominant gene, that the skin color will be very fair. And if there is no dominant, the individual will be albino. If you understand this table, then you are not going to do any mistake in this polygenic inheritance. Now, polygenetic inheritance, it was given by scientist Davenport. That is sometime asked in NEET actually. That is this inheritance was given by Davenport in humans. Now suppose we are taking now example of our skin color. Parents are homozygous dominant, all 6 are dominant, and here they are married with the albino. So what will be the gametes? Capital A, capital B, capital C, and here will be small a, small b. So that will be our F1 generation. That is dominant recessive, that will be F1 generation. So we know that in tri-hybrid cross, how many gametes should be formed? We have to form 8 gametes. Now the second, we know the condition, we have to do selfing. So on selfing, once we are doing the selfing of F1 generation, right? So F1 generation is always do the selfing. How many gametes? 8 gametes. Now let's make gametes with me. First, I always tell you, write the first dominant, that is capital A. Then we will write its recessive, that is small a. Now all first write down all capital, that is capital A, B, capital A, capital B, capital C. Now make one both as the smaller one. Now make one bigger and other small, and make this one small and this one bigger. This is the best way to write down your gametes. This is now 3, I have write down the recessive, then 1 dominant, another recessive. You can do opposite, right? Same way you can make sure that 8 gametes should be formed properly, right? Now same, all these gametes I have written all these gametes here, right? 8 on this side and 8 on this side. So once we cross this, now look at this. If I cross this, capital A, capital A, capital B, capital B, capital C, small c. So in this way you have to cross it. So what will you observe? As you can see, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So how many dominant are there? 6. Once you are going to cross this, then there will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I have written here 5. Right? Now let's cross this one and this one again. That will be 1, another dominant, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you can write down here 5. I will do one for you again. This one and again this one. Now how many are dominant here? 2. 1 dominant, BC dominant, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 we have written there. So in this way you have to count dominant, and you have to count these dominant, and you have to write down their numbers. Once you will cross this one with this horizontal with the vertical, then you will get these numbers of the dominant, right? As you can see, I have written here the whole numbers that once you make this table, you can check all your numbers with my table, right? If your table is correct, your gametes are correct. Now let's come to the ratio. What is the phenotypic ratio? What was our table saying? 6 dominant can be there, 5 dominant, 4 dominant, 3 dominant can be there, 2 dominant, 1 dominant, and 0 dominant. That is we have to find from the table. As you now just look with me, how many 6 you can observe? Only 1, otherwise there is no 6 dominant is there. So out of 64 only 1 is there. Let's count 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? No, another no 5 is there, so we will write 6 by 6 4, right? 64. Let's find out now 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and that's it. So that will be 15 by 64. So in this way you will get your ratio. So I have written here, that is 1, 6D will be 1, 6 dominance will be only 1, 5 is 6, 5 dominance, they are 6 in number, then 4 dominant, they are 15, 3 dominant 20, then 2 dominant 15, then there will be 6, and then same way there will be 0 dominant, that will be white. So we will get our phenotypic ratio, that will be our 1 is to 6 is to 15 is to 20 is to 15 is to 6 is to 1. So as you can see, I have drawn here the graph, that is the range of dominance we got after the this example of skin color, that is 1, 6, then 15, 20, 15, 16, 1. So that is your phenotypic ratio of polygenic inheritance. The best I will tell you, that go through, make sure that first you have to form a correct gametes, 8 gametes. Once your gametes they are correct, then there will not, you are not going to have any problem. You have to write the number of dominants once you are going to cross these two, right? Number of dominant, and you will get this phenotypic ratio if your Punnett square or checkerboard is correct. So please practice this yourself, you will definitely get the correct answer. Now the next topic is the epistasis. Epistasis, if I will say layman language में इसका means होता है sitting over. Sitting over means sitting over on the chromosomes. So 2 genes, here we will talk about 2 genes which are located, or which are, you can say, they are present on different loci. Loci, what is the loci? Place of genes on chromosome, that is called locus. If we are talking about 2 genes, we are use plural, that is loci. So we are talking here 2 genes. Now please be careful, be attentive here, you have to pay little concentration because this is little bit tricky. That 2 genes, one is dominant epistatic. Epistatic का मतलब है we are going to talk about the place of genes on the chromosome. So one is dominant epistatic and another gene is hypostatic gene. Now here we are not using term recessive. So one is dominant, dominate, actually dominate करेगी जो dominant है, and another which dominant one is going to mask the expression of other gene, and this gene which is getting masked, that is called हाइपोस्टैटिक जीन, जो पहले हम रिसेसिव बोलते थे, यहाँ पे अभी द नेम इज चेंज विद द हाइपोस्टैटिक जीन. सो एज यू कैन सी देयर आर टू डिफरेंट कैरेक्टर्स, दैट इज कैपिटल ए and capital B, and these are alleles, capital A small a, capital B small b. So here, because this is dominant epistatic, this AA is dominant over BB, right? This is easy. Next is the, but main point is the dominant gene dominate. I'm saying, if this is the dominant one, or which is going to affect its phenotypic character, then this is called dominating epistatic, and the gene which is getting suppressed, that is called hypostatic. So two genes we have to talk about strictly in epistatic. दो तरह की होती है, one is the dominant one and one is the hypostatic, right? But यहाँ भी एक catch है. Here is little bit tricky portion starts. अगर आपकी अब ये एपिस्टैटिक है, मैंने इसके साथ एपिस्टैटिक नहीं लिखा है. सो इफ एपिस्टैटिक जीन इज इन डोमिनेंट फॉर्म, then it is fine. That will be dominant epistatic, means a single allele. If it is AA, then it's fine. If it is capital A, then it's also fine. Means a single allele of gene also can mask the alleles of other gene. This one can mask the BB, right? Here only one is dominant, so single allele of a gene can mask द एलील्स ऑफ अदर जीन, अगर आपकी एपिस्टैटिक जीन जो है वो डोमिनेंट है. द थिंग वी हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड हेयर इज दैट जो आपकी एपिस्टैटिक जीन है, दैट इज ऑफ टू टाइप्स, राइट? इट कैन बी डोमिनेंट, इट कैन बी रिसेसिव. अगर आपकी एपिस्टैटिक जीन डोमिनेंट है, देन इट only one allele of that gene also can mask. मास्क का मतलब है उसको एक्सप्रेस नहीं होने देगा अदर जीन को. अगर ये रिसेसिव एपिस्टैटिक है, इट शुड बी हैविंग टू एलील्स इन द homozygous form or recessive form. So two alleles have to be inherited to mask the phenotype of other gene. अगर ये recessive gene है तो small a अगर होगा तभी ये dominant होगा BB पे. Otherwise अगर ये recessive epistatic है और present if recessive epistatic है and if it is present as small a capital A or capital A small a, then it will not be able to mask the effect of capital B small b, right? So here I am taking example of only dominant epistatic. You will be able to clearly understand now what is dominant epistatic. Now the example is cucurbita pepo. Cucurbita pepo is commonly called summer squash. Now here in cucurbita pepo, epistatic gene is W and जो hypostatic gene है that is capital Y. ठीक है, बट हम क्या बोल रहे हैं कि ये कौन सी एपिस्टेसिस है? W. तो W चाहे ऐसे प्रेजेंट हो या फिर स्मॉल w ऐसे जीनोटाइप में प्रेजेंट हो, दोनों इट कैन बी डोमिनेंट ओवर द अदर वन. सो इफ इट इज प्रेजेंट एज दिस, if the genotype is capital W, capital Y, small y, right? Then there will be plants will only produce white flower. There will not be any yellow flower, because as long as W is there, capital W is there, Y will not able to express. Why? ऐसा क्यों? क्योंकि W जो है वो डोमिनेंट एपिस्टैटिक है. तो इवन सिंगल डोमिनेंट एलील कैन मास्क द इफेक्ट ऑफ अदर एलील. अगर ये WWYY है तो फिर भी Y अपने आप को एक्सप्रेस नहीं कर पाएगी. अगर तो ये डोमिनेंट एपिस्टैटिक है बट आपका जीनोटाइप ऐसा है, स्मॉल w कैपिटल Y, इस केस में Y विल एबल टू एक्सप्रेस इट्सेल्फ. Why? because the epistatic gene should be in dominant form, but यहाँ पे epistatic gene recessive form में है. ये तभी work करेगा अगर आपका epistasis recessive है. Dominant epistasis में अगर आपकी epistatic gene recessive form में है, then it will not mask the phenotypic character of other gene. Always remember this line, right? Now the flower will be yellow. Let's see now with the help of cross. Parents we have, that is capital W, small yy, and here is they are crossed with small w, small w, yy. So here they can produce white flower and here they are yellow flower. So gametes, they are very clear, and F1 generation is there. Now in this F1 generation, Y will not express Y because epistatic gene is in dominant form. Now we are going to self cross it. Because it is a dihybrid cross, so 4 gametes will be formed. So you should be careful about forming the gametes. Now as you can see here, W यहाँ पे epistatic है, Y is hypostatic. If I ask you how many white flowers, just follow me. This is white, 1. This is white. This one will be white. This one will be white. This one will be white. ये भी वाइट होगा, ये भी वाइट होगा, ये भी वाइट होगा, क्योंकि सिंगल भी प्रेजेंट है तो भी वो वाइट ही होगा. ये दोनों, सॉरी यहाँ पे दोनों ये स्मॉल है, ठीक है. ये नहीं होगा, ये रेड से ही करेंगे हम. ये भी वाइट होगा, ये भी वाइट होगा, right? So 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12. So 12 will be white flower. And let's see yellow flower, because ये recessive में आ गया तो ये yellow हो जाएगा. Then there will be, this one will be yellow, yes, this one will be yellow. So 3 yellow flowers and 1 will be completely green flower, जिसमें सारा कुछ ही रिसेसिव है. सो डोमिनेंट एपिस्टैटिक की जो रेशो है दैट विल बी 12:3:1. मेंडल की रेशो डाईहाइब्रिड की क्रॉस की क्या थी? 9:3:3:1. जस्ट कंबाइन इट, 9 + 3 दैट इज 12. सो अल्टीमेटली इसको अगर हम सप्रेस कर दें तो वी विल गेट दिस काइंड ऑफ ratio. So dominant epistasis has 12:3:1. If you are clear with the, you have to need to be very clear about the epistatic, dominant epistatic and hypostatic gene. If you are clear with these terms, you will never do it incorrect, right? Last one is the chromosomal theory of inheritance. Now if we talk about Mendel published his work in 1865. In 1990, 3 scientists read Mendel's work and they gave recognition to Mendel's work. In 1902, chromosome theory was given by Sutton and Boveri. 2 scientists were there, that is Sutton and Boveri. They give a chromosomal theory that is a little bit similar to the Mendel's work. Let's see that how it works. As Mendel talk about genes, he actually gave us the term factors, which we are now calling them as genes, and Sutton Boveri, they talk about chromosomes. So one thing is clear to you, that Mendel talked about genes, and chromosomal theory of inheritance in Sutton Boveri, they talk about chromosomes. Mendel said factors occurs in pairs, जो कि आजकल हम genes बोलते हैं, जिनको हमें पता है they occur in pair. They said these chromosomes have these genes or factors which occur in pair. He said ये सारी जो genes हैं they are present on chromosomes. ये Sutton और Boveri ने बोला. And these chromosomes which are having same type of genes, that pair is called homologous chromosome, right? So he said these pairs, and these pairs, in pairs को हम क्या बोलते हैं? Alleles, which can be homozygous, which can be heterozygous. But they said these chromosomes have genes, and if these pairs which are of same shape, size, they are called homologous pair. Now Mendel said alleles separate at the time of gamete formation, क्रोमोसोम थ्योरी में बोला गया कि होमोलोगस, ये जो होमोलोगस पेयर हैं एक जैसे शेप के, दीज पेयर ऑफ क्रोमोसोम्स दे सेपरेट और द टाइम ऑफ गैमीट फॉर्मेशन। दोनों ने अपनी अपनी सही बात बोली है। मेंडल ओनली टॉक अबाउट एलील्स, मेंडल डिड नॉट टॉक अबाउट क्रोमोसोम, बट सूटोन बोवरी दे टॉक अबाउट क्रोमोसोम। ही सेड ये जो होमोलोगस क्रोमोसोम है, मियोसिस, इफ यू रिकॉल मियोसिस के टाइम पे दीज chromosomes they get separate. Now these factors or genes they are assorted independently, means they are not dependent on each other. But what Sutton Boveri said, they said chromosomes they assort themselves independently. Homologous they pair together, and other ones they two homologous they start pair together, but they express independently. This one is not dependent on the these alleles or factors. This capital A is not dependent on small a. This capital B is not dependent on small b. They all have independent expression. So this is the law of independent assortment. That is how they explain this, right? Law of independent assortment was explained by Mendel. Sutton Boveri only talked about the chromosomes. Then there were the when the chromosomes they came in picture, then one, this is very important, this is the last my topic, that is about for NEET, that is the giant chromosomes. From this many questions sometime asked. Giant chromosome, it was given by Winchester. Winchester talk about that there are two types of giant means bigger in size, that is salivary gland chromosomes and lamp brush chromosomes. Salivary gland chromosomes, or they have another name, that is polytene chromosomes. Now salivary gland, if we talk about, they were discovered by Balbiani, and polytene name that was given by term that was given by Kohler. Here scientist name is very important in this case, because this is very important for NEET. Then the second type of giant chromosomes were lamp brush chromosome. It was first seen by Fleming and detailed studied by Ruckett, right? So two types of giant chromosomes we have to see, that is salivary gland and lamp brush. Salivary glands are also known as polytene chromosomes, which were discovered by Balbiani. Term polytene chromosome was given by Kohler. Lamp brush chromosome first seen by Fleming but studied in detail by Ruckett. Now discovered in, why they are known as salivary glands? Because they were discovered in salivary glands of Drosophila. That is why their name was given salivary glands. Now actually in polytene chromosomes what happen is that chromosomes they get separate on the poles, right? But here what is happening, that there is no separations. Chromosomes only replicate but no separation is there. So multiple arms they were seen in this salivary glands chromosome. That is why they were called as polytene chromosomes, because in polytene stage actually there was no separation in salivary gland chromosomes. But the main property of these chromosomes is they are very rich in DNA content, obviously, because as you can see their arms they have DNA content, they are rich in DNA content, and these arms they were only joining together, they were getting bigger in size, they were not getting separated. If we talk about lamp brush chromosome, they actually जो आपका if you have seen that brush with the help which in the kitchen which we use for wash bottles, so same like that in a loop there are the chromosomes are getting attached and no separation. So they were observed in oocytes of vertebrates. The main function of these chromosomes were they help in RNA synthesis as well as they helped in lipid or yolk synthesis, because they were observed in oocytes. So they help in two main functions, that is RNA synthesis and lipid yolk. The reason to tell you about these two giant chromosome, giant why? Because they were bigger in size. Two types, salivary and lamb brush chromosome, because it is given for your NEET preparation. So just go through this table, right? So that is all about our today's lecture. That is little long video I have made today. So go through each and every point carefully, right? And the next we are going to start with another interesting topic, that is about the sex determination in case of various organism, right? Till then, go through these video very patiently and have a good day. Take care of your health. I will